The Halloween season is upon us. The leaves are dead, the candy aisles have been fully stocked, and Spirit Halloween has claimed yet another abandoned Toys R Us. But let's be real, some of the scariest things we ever saw weren't in horror movies or haunted houses. They came from our childhood television screens. Think about it. You'd sit down after school, a Capri Sun in hand, and bam! You were introduced to a monster with detachable eyeballs or a creepy clown that smelled like cigar smoke. These weren't just shows. They were trauma disguised as children's entertainment. And honestly, loads of fun at the same time. They're perfect for a Halloween binge. So tonight, we're counting down the top 10 children's shows to binge during October. Creepy, campy, and sometimes just plain disturbing, these shows prove that childhood nostalgia pairs beautifully with nightmare fuel. These are just my picks and favorites. I'm sure there are more. Let me know in the comments what's on your favorite list, or any I may have missed. I may discover a new favorite. So let's get into it, and as they say, submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this episode the Top 10 Children's Shows to Binge During Spooky Season. Number 10. Aaahh! Real Monsters, which ran for 4 seasons from 1994 to 1997. If Nickelodeon had a horror wing, Real Monsters would have been its flagship. The show followed 3 young monsters, Ickis, Oblina, and Crumb, training at an academy beneath a garbage dump to learn the fine art of scaring humans. Everything about the series was steeped in slime, grit, and grotesque humor, which made it both hilarious and strangely unsettling. The spooky factor came from its aesthetic. The world was dingy, damp, and designed to feel a little unsafe. Crumb carried his eyeballs in his hands. Oblina could contort into horrifying shapes. Even their mentor, the Grumble, had that don't trust him at parent-teacher night vibe. Some episodes leaned into body horror, like when Crumb developed a disease that made him sprout extra body parts, or when Oblina ventured into the human world and discovered it was even stranger than Monster Society. The pilot episode set the tone perfectly, as the trio faced down the terrifying scare exam with their reputations and lives on the line. And here's a fun fact. Christine Cavanaugh, who voiced Oblina, also gave us Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory and Chucky from Rugrats. That means the same woman who brought you a lisping toddler with a blankie also brought you a towering black and white monster who lived under a dump. Nickelodeon's voice acting bench was stacked, and this show remains a perfect mix of gross out humor and late night creepiness. From monsters under the city dump to the kind of town where monsters might be your next door neighbors. Number 9. Eerie, Indiana, which ran for 1 season from 1991 to 1992. Eerie, Indiana was the show that made suburbia feel dangerous. Marshall Teller moved to what seemed like a normal town, only to discover it was basically the Bermuda Triangle of weird. Every episode was like a kid-friendly Twilight Zone, where the ordinary was always twisted. The premiere episode, Foreverwhere, introduced twins who stayed young forever by sleeping in giant Tupperware containers, proof that even household products could be terrifying. The Dead Letter told a ghost story with real heart as Marshall helped deliver a message from beyond the grave. And Just Say No to Fun was a story where new glasses turned classmates into zombies. This wasn't just random weirdness, it was layered. Tobey Maguire even showed up in a guest spot before donning the Spider-Man suit, proving that Eerie was apparently the gateway to Hollywood stardom. And co-creator Jose Rivera would later be nominated for an Academy Award for The Motorcycle Diaries. Who knew a show about talking dogs and cursed retainers could launch serious careers? But sometimes the weird isn't in the neighborhood. It's locked inside a chest, waiting for a meddling dog to unleash it. Number 8. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which ran for 1 season in 1985. Forget rubber masks and cranky caretakers. This was Scooby-Doo dealing with the real deal. In the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, Shaggy and Scooby accidentally unleashed 13 ancient spirits, then spent the series trying to trap them again. The difference here? The monsters weren't fake. They were supernatural and sometimes downright terrifying. Episodes like To All the Ghouls I've Loved Before set the tone immediately, with Scooby realizing just how badly he'd screwed up by opening the chest of demons and releasing what was within. That's Monstertainment literally sucked the gang into a horror movie, letting them interact with the monsters on screen. And Ship of Ghouls brought an entire haunted cruise ship into play, proving Scooby couldn't even relax on vacation. Daphne also got her glow up here, ditching her damsel routine to become a fearless, jumpsuit-wearing leader. And let's not forget Vincent Price, who voiced their enigmatic guide. His presence gave the show the perfect gothic weight. Now, Scooby made ghosts goofy fun, but our next pink pup, he made them absolutely terrifying. Number 7. Courage the Cowardly Dog, which ran for 4 seasons from 1999 to 2002. Few cartoons walk the line between comedy and nightmare like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Living in Nowhere, Kansas, Courage had one job: keep his sweet owner Muriel safe from the endless parade of monsters, aliens, and serial killers that showed up at their farmhouse. His other owner, Eustace, usually made things worse by being, well, the worst. The episode King Ramses' Curse remains infamous, with its horrifying CGI mummy demanding, "Return the slab." And Freaky Fred introduced us to a barber with an obsession for hair and the creepiest laugh in cartoon history. The Mask gave us a surprisingly emotional dark story about abuse and identity, making it one of the boldest episodes of children's TV ever. The fun fact here: the series started as a short called The Chicken from Outer Space, which was nominated for an Academy Award. Yes, Courage the Cowardly Dog was nominated for an Oscar before it became a television series. And the creators intentionally mixed CGI villains with 2D animation, making them stick out in jarring, uncanny ways. It's one of the reasons Courage still feels so unnerving to watch, even now. Courage may have handled horror solo, but the next team brought proton packs and a whole lot of screaming. Number 6. The Real Ghostbusters, which ran for 7 seasons from 1986 to 1991. Based on the blockbuster film, The Real Ghostbusters took the ghostbusting business into darker, creepier corners. While the movies leaned into comedy, the cartoons sometimes leaned hard into horror. The monsters were grotesque, the lore was deeper, and the scares came at kids during Saturday morning breakfast. Some notable episodes of the series include the Halloween episode, When Halloween Was Forever, which introduced Samhain, the spirit of Halloween, with his glowing pumpkin head and terrifying goal of making the holiday eternal. And I know that Samhain is actually pronounced Samhain, but Samhain is how it was pronounced in the series, so that's how I pronounced it here. There were 2 other Halloween-centric episodes as well, Halloween 2.5 and The Halloween Door, which actually started as a special and was integrated into the series as a regular episode afterward. The Boogeyman Cometh tapped into every kid's closet-related nightmare, delivering a villain so unsettling he became a recurring foe. And one of my favorite episodes, Janine, You've Changed, which was an episode made to explain some design changes to Janine as a character. She has a fairy godmother who turns out to be a monster, of course, who is able to change Janine's appearance while simultaneously making her loved ones unable to see those changes, in an attempt to corrupt her into becoming a monster herself. As for fun facts, the show became so popular it spun off into Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters, which was lighter and sillier, but proved Slimer's star power. And let's not forget the toy line. The ghosts were so creatively designed that the action figures are still collector's items today, some worth hundreds of dollars. Now, the Ghostbusters had proton packs, but Disney once gave us something scarier: a teenager with a laptop and a taste for the supernatural. Number 5. So Weird, which ran for 3 seasons from 1999 to 2001. Disney Channel wasn't exactly known for creeping kids out, until So Weird came along. This series followed Fiona Fee Phillips, a teenager touring with her rock star mom, while secretly investigating paranormal mysteries. It was the X-Files for kids, and it didn't pull its punches. The episode strangely told the story of Fee accidentally summoning a creature while reciting a Celtic spell during a play, Angel, about a possible run-in with the actual Angel of Death, and Troll, where the group has a run-in with a troll at a bridge. Heavy themes like grief and death wove through the show, which made it feel more emotionally raw than most Disney fare. Fun fact, Fee, played by Cara DeLizia, left after season 2 and was replaced by Annie, played by Alex Johnson. Fans still debate which version worked better, but Fee's arc remains the gold standard, and the music, especially the opening theme, still holds up as one of Disney Channel's most haunting. But while Fee chased paranormal mysteries, the Pines twins lived in a town where the weird was the local culture. Number 4. Gravity Falls, which ran for 2 seasons from 2012 to 2016. Dipper and Mabel Pines thought they were in for a quiet summer with their grunkle Stan. Instead, Gravity Falls delivered a conspiracy-laden, monster-filled romp that's one of the smartest, spookiest animated shows ever made. The Summerween episode cemented its Halloween credentials, with a monster made of discarded candy attacking trick-or-treaters. Sock Opera was pure nightmare fuel as Bill Cipher, the demonic triangle, possessed Dipper, and the multi-part Weirdmageddon arc was essentially the apocalypse for kids' TV, with a Lovecraftian chaos demon wrecking reality itself. The fun fact here? Alex Hirsch filled the series with real puzzles, codes, and ciphers for fans to decode. This extended beyond the show into real-life scavenger hunts, culminating in fans digging up an actual statue of Bill Cipher in the Oregon woods. That's commitment to the bit. But if 2 seasons isn't enough, how about a mini-series that feels like one long autumn nightmare? Number 3. Over the Garden Wall, a mini-series from 2014. This is autumn in animated form. Brothers Wirt and Greg wander through a mysterious forest encountering haunted villages, talking animals, and the sinister beast lurking in the shadows. Every episode is dripping with fall atmosphere, pumpkins, fog, and melancholy. Hard times at the Husk and Bee gave us pumpkin-headed villagers who were just a little too cheerful. The ringing of the bell introduced Lorna, whose curse made her one of the show's creepiest characters. And the finale, The Unknown, revealed the beast in a way that still gives viewers chills. Fun fact, Elijah Wood voices Wirt, while Christopher Lloyd plays the Woodsman. And before it became a miniseries, it started life as a short film called Tome of the Unknown. It's a rare case where a small project blossomed into a perfect, self-contained masterpiece. Before we hear some honorable mentions, we can't leave out the series based on the ultimate children's horror book series. Number 2, Goosebumps, which ran for 4 seasons from 1995 to 1998. Adapted from R.L. Stine's mega-popular books, Goosebumps became the ultimate 90s kid horror anthology. Every week was a new monster, curse, or creepy twist ending. The show was creepy without being too scary, and the low-budget effects only made the stories feel eerier, because your brain filled in the blanks. Some of the best classic episodes include The Haunted Mask with Carly Beth's cursed Halloween mask, Say Cheese and Die where a cursed camera predicts gruesome fates, and Night of the Living Dummy 2, which marked the return of Slappy, the ventriloquist dummy who refused to die. There were a few other anthology series based on R.L. Stine's writing, like The Haunting Hour and The Nightmare Room, but Goosebumps is hands down the best. R.L. Stine actually made some Hitchcock-style cameos in the show. The show was filmed in Canada, which is why half the actors look familiar from other 90s shows. And the opening theme with that shadowy dog, creepy music, and floating Jeep still hits harder than most horror movie intros. But before we crown our number 1, let's creep through a few honorable mentions because some shows just barely miss the campfire circle. Honorable mentions. The Owl House, which ran for 3 seasons from 2020 to 2023. This deserves a nod for its haunting fantasy setting. Luce stumbles into the Boiling Isles, a land of witches and demons, and becomes the apprentice of the Owl Lady Edith. With cursed magic and gothic imagery throughout, it's one of Disney's boldest and most atmospheric offerings in years. Creeped Out, which ran for 2 seasons from 2017 to 2019. This was basically Black Mirror for middle schoolers, hosted by the eerie figure The Curious, who appeared silently in every episode. Some stories were lighthearted, but others went straight for the jugular, delivering scares that stuck with you long after. And Beetlejuice, which ran for 3 seasons from 1989 to 1991. It took Tim Burton's ghoulish creation and twisted him into Saturday morning slapstick, pairing him with Lydia for bizarre adventures in the netherworld. Gothic, surreal, and just plain weird, it's still one of the strangest cartoons ever to air. Now, with those spirits laid to rest, it's time to strike the match, toss the sand, and call forth the king of spooky kid shows. Number 1, Are You Afraid of the Dark?, which ran for 7 seasons from 1990 to 2000 and had a 3-season revival from 2019 to 2022. This is it, the crown jewel of spooky children's television. Every week, the Midnight Society gathered around a campfire to tell stories that pushed the limits of what Nickelodeon could get away with. Each episode, we waited to see which member of the Midnight Society would be telling their story and what kind of horror we were in store for that week. Some of the best episodes include the following: The Tale of the Laughing in the Dark, which introduces to Zeebo the Clown, who probably still haunts your dreams. The Tale of the Dead Man's Float, which gave us a ghost in a swimming pool, a place that was supposed to be safe. And The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, which pulled a villain straight from a cursed comic book with a smile you'll never forget. The show's fun facts are just as juicy. Ryan Gosling guest starred in an episode before his time as a leading man in Hollywood. The series was also filmed in Canada, which explains the endless dark forests and actors that may have appeared in that other scary anthology series we just mentioned. And those campfire scenes, filmed in a Toronto studio painted black, with the crew using smoke machines to make it feel like the outdoors. This show wasn't just creepy, it was legendary. It remains the ultimate spooky kids show, perfect for Halloween binges or anytime you need a good scare with a nostalgic twist. And there you have it, 10 terrifying treasures from our childhood, plus a few honorable mentions that proved kids' TV was way creepier than we ever gave it credit for. They were weird, they were dark, and sometimes they were scarier than the horror movies we weren't supposed to be watching anyway. So, which one scared you the most? Was it Zeebo, Slappy the Dummy, or maybe that terrifying CGI mummy demanding his slab? Let me know in the comments, and I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers to the channel. Thanks for all the comments, and thanks for all the likes, and thanks for all the views. My last episode unexpectedly kind of caught fire, and I'm really appreciative. Thank you so much for being here. Until then, like, subscribe if you're not, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next chilling countdown. And remember, sometimes the darkest stories aren't told around campfires. They're hidden in plain sight on the shows we grew up with.